Yeah. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Lions Den. Hopefully, everything is good with you, y'all. Look, if this is your first time tuning in, make sure you're hitting the share button, y'all. Hit the share button. Let individuals know you in the place to be. What we talk about all the time, every time around this time, is all things leadership, growth, development with a call to action. All right, from the household to out in the community. You dig? So hopefully it give you some news that you can use and put you in a better place and space in life. You know what I'm talking about? What up, Big Hearn? What's up?
Man, what's happening with you, man? How's your week been going?
Man, it's been going, bro. It's been going, man, and seeing everybody graduating
Man,
and
real,
everything, man. It's motivation. You dig? Motivation. What
bro.
about you, bro?
This year is the year that I count these kids that are graduating high school now.
Yeah.
I count those as my first kids since I started the job at my community center, right?
Oh wow. So you get to see
Because
you've been
yeah,
seeing them.
because these kids, when I got to that rec center, they were still middle school in the eighth grade.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So they were my eighth grade kids, and now they're graduating this year. You know what I mean? So I got to see them go from middle school on to high school to graduate. And they, one of them actually invited me to the graduation. So
That's dope, man. Don't that feel good though?
yeah, man, it does, man. To be able to see them as little kids
Yeah.
grow up to be young adults and stuff like that, and watch how they change and mature and stuff. And
Yeah.
be honest, there were some kids I was like, man, I don't know, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, know if they was gonna make it.
yeah, on some real talk type stuff. Like I was like, man, I don't know, man, because of how they came up and whatnot. You know, it's like this right here. You know, it's but they made it. You know what I mean?
That's,
I can't say that any one of them didn't make it. You know, not that I know of. I mean, they all made it across that finish line. So I'm grateful for that.
yeah. Man, no, this is super dope, man. I had the pleasure actually of DJing for one of my homeboys. Actually, I was in the military with him, right? He was in CE, and just seeing his daughter graduate, man, and then family came from like Texas, man, the down south area, man, Louisiana and the Carolinas, right? Just for her graduation, man. It was just
Yeah.
super dope, man, and people having fun, bro.
Yeah. On another note, man, what did you think of Mortal Kombat?
Man, you know what? I liked it. I really
Yeah.
did. It was that nostalgic feel. But see, Simone was with me, right? So she was like, okay, that's corny. I was like, wait, it's supposed to kind of be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's why I said you got to know kind of the lore.
You got
For
to
it to
know
be
that.
like, for it to be like catchy, you know what I mean? Like, get over
Yeah,
here and all that type of
yeah.
stuff. And
You know,
finish
or
them. Yeah.
all those type of things, man. So it was nostalgic for me. But so like we watched part one together. She thought that was cool then, you know what I mean? But you know, she's getting older now, so she's like, you know, and so
Mhm.
we kind of watch movies sometimes and we like sit down and analyze them. And so she ended up doing that with this one. I'm like, wait a minute, this ain't the one, right? But I am interested in seeing what Street Fighter is about, though.
Yeah, man.
It does look good. It does look, interesting that I would check it on out, though.
Yeah, man.
What you think though? Mortal
Man,
Kombat was
I,
good.
I think the same thing as you. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I can see how if somebody don't know about the game,
Yeah,
it's going to look corny because you got Johnny Cage over there swirling back and forth.
yeah,
You know what
right.
I'm saying? And then finally just falls down. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, what is that? You be thinking
right,
like, what is that? You know,
right.
but if you knew the game, you would
Hmm.
understand what that was. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
But
So
yeah,
I'm interested to see, the next, or if it is going to be, or they kind of have to. I
they
don't
got
want to
you.
spoil it for
Yeah,
anybody, but
yeah,
things was happening that was like too out of line. You
yeah.
get what I
You,
mean?
you see Shane Song about to do his thing, but I think it's going to just get better from here. So
Yeah,
I guess
I
that's
agree.
the fun part. But
Yeah.
man,
What
we
you
got a
think?
pretty heavy topic today.
Yeah, man. You ready for it, bro?
We got a pretty heavy topic today because I think that this topic here affects somebody's been affected by it one way or another. Because
Indeed.
something like this, what we about to talk about, no matter what side of the fence you're on, your life is altered forever
Absolutely.
after something like this occurs.
Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
No, I do. And for those of you that's listening right now or watching, please take this opportunity, listen, right, with an open mind, because a couple of things. It could happen to anyone, it can happen to you. And but essentially, y'all, what we're going to be talking about is an individual's recovery through a traumatic experience, but how they did not let that stop them. You get what I mean? So it's so important, right? So to make sure y'all picking up what we putting down, please have an open ear, open mind, and open heart. Y'all give it up for Mr. Chris Pate in the building, y'all. Yeah. What up,
Hello,
though?
hello, hello.
Yeah, brother.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Too easy, too easy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I had the pleasure and the privilege of meeting this brother here when we were on a panel for the Black Men Read Voices of Tandem, and that was last month, right on the 25th of April.
Yes.
Yes, and it was a great opportunity, man. So, look, tell our audience, man, a little bit about you, man. Just introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. I am Christopher Michael Pate, or Christopher M. Pate. Yes, and I am an author, best-selling author, and an educator, and the people's champ. You know, like I said, my background is in social services, the nonprofit sector, and also education. I've always loved English, and I always loved writing and language and all the things. So yeah, I'm the people's champ, man. Thank you for having me.
Right
Okay,
on, right
people's
on. So we
champ.
about to get people's champ with the isn't that with the eyebrow? Well, no,
Yeah,
that
that's
was
the rock.
yeah, that was the rock. That's what it is. Go ahead, hit it up, huh?
All right, hey, so I'm gonna get right into it, right? Because you said that you're a best-selling author, and
Yes, sir.
your book is titled "The Drunk Deliverance." Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I got a little bit of background on your book, but what I want to know right now, because this is going to really set the tone for what we're talking about, is what inspired you to write that book?
Yes, sir. So the book is titled The Drunk Deliverance Discovering Purpose and Traumatic Experiences. Yes. So first, I did not want to write this book.
Okay.
As I said, I've always loved English and writing and literature, all the things since middle school. So I have been working on a collection of short stories, which was my idea for my first book. And yeah, so I went through, let's see, undergrad began. I had this idea for writing a book. So I began working on it or whatever. And then I transferred back home to St. Louis, Missouri, and started attending the Harris State University. I still have this idea for this book. You know, it was my life's dream. So senior year of college approached, and I still have my baby. I've been working on it. I've been, perfecting these stories for years. And by now, my baby was ready. I was like, "Grab, get this published, right? I can start working to get this published." So I was in the last semester of my undergraduate career when life happened, right? January 25th, 2009 is a day I don't remember, but one I'll never forget.
Mm.
And that I just that night it was my last birthday party of undergrad, so I wanted to do it big. I was a party guy, it was my thing. Like, you coming out with paint, it's going down, right? That was my reputation, and apparently I lived up to it. So my last birthday party of undergrad had to be a big deal. So I picked my sister up, and my friends and I, we took turns being the sober driver. So I picked my sister up. She agreed to go with me, one of my best friends, lifelong friend. And she and I went to this new spot on the riverfront, apparently, and all went well at the club, from what Taryn told me. So I dropped her off at home, and I was heading home to get some sleep. After work a little later that day, I was making a left turn at the intersection of Natural Bridge and Newstead when a drunk driver ran his red light and crashed into my car on the driver's side of the car and left me unresponsive on the passenger side of the car. Impact knocked me over. So the police came. I'm not sure how that worked, but they rushed me to the hospital, rushed me to Barnes, and got there. They were convinced that life was going to end for me. They knew I would be alive much longer. I called my mother, told her to come, and told her what happened. And she said, "Is Chris okay?" And he said, "No, man, you need to just come." And she was like, "Okay, wait, was he at a crash? Was it an accident? Like, what happened?" I remember, "We can't give you any information. Get her to the hospital as soon as you can." So she was frantic. I'm the youngest of 8, and for my mom, I'm the youngest of 2. So I'm her baby. No matter how old I get, I'm her baby, right? So something had happened to our baby. So she called my older brother, and had him to take her rushed to the hospital. Made it there, and they were told all the injuries: a traumatic brain injury, broken collarbone, me fractured my face and chin, collapsed lungs, and I was in a coma. I was unresponsive. So that's how the story began. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Now see, now that's a lot. That's a
Oh,
whole
Yeah, it's a lot, right?
Yeah, it is. And I know we talked a little bit about it, behind stage and before the show, and I let Herm get into that a little, later. But your journey requires me, I'm sure everyone else that's listening right now, some deep introspective and discover the whole, what that can actually look like as far as the new version of yourself. So
Yes.
if you can briefly describe what was the most powerful breakthrough you experienced while learning to embrace the incredible new you right now? When did you know that hey, I'm ready to move into this new life?
That is a loaded question, and that I didn't want to live as this new version of Chris. So for years, I battled depression. I still battle depression. I was suicidal for many years, and the night I was going to try, is detailed in the book. God said not so. So I didn't want to live as this new Chris, right? So God allowed me to go for therapy and spend 6 weeks in a coma. Woke up not knowing my name, who I was, where I was. Had to relearn everything: how to walk, talk, feed myself, dress myself, tie my shoes. Had to relearn my mother, my family, right? Everything. So I just kept hearing these things about Chris. There was, and I wanted to be him again. So no matter what, I was just motivated. I was determined to become Chris again. So I knew, I was a Christian. I was baptized when I was 5 years old. So I've always had my faith, but I don't think my faith is as strong as it's ever been because of the crash. So that dark period ushered much beauty into my life. And when did I know? It was around the time graduation from college. Because I was told I could not complete college, right? I was told I couldn't. They said I wouldn't do anything. I couldn't return to work, couldn't drive a car. They parties like they put me in a box, and with me, put me in a box, watch me, back me into a corner, watch me work. With God on my side, I could do anything, man. So with that, around the time I'm trying to answer. I'm trying to be brief with my answer, but yeah, around the time I inch closer to our graduation, that's when I began to feel like myself again, or a new version of me.
I love that.
I said a lot. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, no, I was perfectly done, Chris. So during the accident, right? Uh, the man hit you. You were doing the right thing, being a sober driver and whatnot. How has the accident changed your perspective on life moving forward? What has changed for you since before Chris accident and now to the day, Chris? Has it changed your mentality, the way you see things? What has changed for you?
You keep using the term, and I like to just provide some education around that. The crash was not an accident. The drunk driver made decisions. He drank the alcohol and he became drunk and intoxicated. Then he drove his car. He was not. He didn't have a license. He didn't have any insurance. He was not a registered driver. So, and then he decided to run the red light, crashed my car, and then he tried to flee the scene. He was driving his girlfriend's car. I found out later. Either way, so the crash was not an accident. It was God design. God allowed it to happen, and God knew that I would make it through that. Right. So the crash has taught me, and I'm still learning, to embrace me and to show up as my authentic self always, because I was allowed to live. Many people that suffer the kind of brain injury I suffered, they either die or they spend their lives in a vegetative state, right? So God allowed me to live. So I have to, it's my job, it's my duty to be Chris. I have to, right? And through the crash taught me the purpose and how precious a day is. We take days for granted. You couldn't have told me at any point in my life would change. Everything about me would change on that day. It did, right? So I on days when I'm feeling angry, when I'm feeling sad, I allow myself to experience the emotions, but I still try to keep myself going. I don't allow myself to take a break on Chris because God didn't. And it also taught me I'm getting emotional, I'm sorry. To accept people for okay. to accept people who they are, because many people I thought they've been lifelong friends, right? Except I woke up from the coma and came home after the crash. After I was allowed to leave, after I was allowed to discharge, and I couldn't find them.
Wow.
They didn't like this new Chris. They wanted the old Chris back. They actually said this to me. We want the old Chris back. He was this, he was that. So while they were very important, I would not deny their importance. I have to accept people for who they showed me at that time. Not hold on to past versions of them. I don't want to cry. Yeah.
No. Hey, man, look.
But I do want to talk a little bit about that. I ain't trying to make you cry, nothing, but I think that's important to unpack. It's like you said, because I just don't understand why they wouldn't be there for you after something traumatic like that. You know what I mean? It's not like you made the mistake. You know what I mean? It's not like you the one that did anything wrong, though.
But look, man, look, real talk, Herman, and I'm just jumping in real quick, man. I want you to, vibe for a second, man. But Herm, no matter what, man, as life goes on, right? As we experience different things, man, and things don't necessarily have to be traumatic, but certain milestones. And what that does is it can rattle individuals' significance in your life. You get what I mean? And sometimes that version of you, whatever it was, it gave them a sense of comfort. And so no matter how that disruption happens, some people can't dig it. You know what I mean? And then therefore the unfortunate part is, and I think maybe let me know if I'm hitting this, Chris, but it kind of lets you know that the friendship was conditional. You dig? And I think that we all experience that at some time. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day about that. Like, we have to go through this through life. You get what I mean? Certain things are going to happen when certain people aren't going to be there along the ride. What you think about that, Chris?
Life has taught me that, and not everyone in our lives is supposed to be with us forever. It doesn't mean they're bad, right? It doesn't mean that I'm bad. It doesn't mean I've done anything wrong. It doesn't mean that they've done anything wrong. It's just that part of my story is up.
That's right.
So it's my job to move on, to accept, to not deny their significance, because at a point they were significant, right? I don't believe they didn't love me. It was just that love was conditional, as you stated. Yeah. So it was dependent on Chris being the Chris they knew. They weren't supposed to be with me with transformation. Their chapter was over.
That's right.
I would have been on Tupac hit 'em up mode, but I like
right.
I like the way you first of all, and you know what I'm saying?
Right. And but you know what though, Chris, for real,
I feel
you picked the high road, right? Herm wouldn't take the high road. He wouldn't. He don't know the high road.
I can't say that I did. I can't say that I did, I can't say I took any high road, because a piece of me I just didn't understand. Like I talk, and this is in the book as well. But I finally was able to reach one of my friends who had been around since I was like maybe 16. Up until that point, I was 23 when the crash occurred. So we've been friends. I thought that was my lifelong friend. So finally, when I was able to get in touch with her, I asked her, "Hey, what's going on? I know that I'm still trying to get back into school. I'm still trying to drive. I'm still trying to do all these things, but it seems everyone is just too busy." And she was like, "No, they're not busy." I said, "What? What do you mean?" She was like, "Yeah, Chris, we love you. We know that it happened. And we love you so much, but we don't want to hear about the accident." Every time we talk to you, something about the accident, I'm like, because you all ask me questions, and the answer is the accident. Like, "Hey, have you heard from the school yet?" Like, "Nah." "Okay, so you ready to start driving?" "Not really." "Okay, did you go to the park to walk?" "No, I'm hurting because," and the answer was always the crash, So they got tired of hearing about that, so they decided to just leave me where I was,
Yeah, it sounded like they. I mean,
this is a few months after.
Yeah, dang, boy, yeah, for real. That's
cold-blooded. That's cold-blooded.
I mean, that person did try to keep it real with you, but damn, where's the empathy at for your friend? You know what I mean? Where's the, you know what I'm saying? I know what you're going through, but switching up just a little bit, well, a lot of it actually. The person that hit you, do you know anything about that person? You know what I'm saying? It sounds like they were able to to drive off and they weren't as impacted as you were?
He actually didn't have any injuries. He didn't suffer any injuries. Yeah. So with that, at a point in my life, and this is again, I don't want to give all the book away, but there was a point in which I began to learn more about him. I learned he was a successful businessman, and entrepreneur, and he was like in his 40s, I believe, and he had been caught. He had been caught driving drugs several times. Because if he's been caught several times, I mean he's done it, and also not been caught. Those times worked out better for him. But yeah, so he got caught driving drunk several times. With my crash, when he almost killed me, that was the first time he went to jail for it.
Oh, so he did go to jail. Okay.
Good.
Yes, he did. Second or third hearing, he was sentenced to jail. Yeah.
Well, that's good news. That's good news. Well, look, brother, I want to switch gears a little bit, man. So you credit your faith and your strong support for your loved ones, and for helping you survive this, and thrive ultimately. So how did leaning on your community and your spiritual beliefs give you the exact energy you needed to keep pushing forward during these heaviest days, especially when people turn their back on you?
Well, my mother introduced me to Christ when I was 5 years old. So I was baptized 1990, right? So I'd always, been like, I won't say a faithful church attendee, but either way, a follower of Christ always. So when I woke up from the crash, I learned about Jesus again. It was almost like I was meeting him for the first time, because for the first time in my life, one of the first times in my life, he was all I had, along with my mother and a few friends and family members, but God was it. So in my darkest times, I just prayed. And I learned as a child to pray without ceasing. So I am proof that it works, because in my darkest hours, God was there. When I was alone in my bed crying many nights, God was there. My mother finally started leaving me at home by myself. It was me, her dog, Miss Katie, my precious recovery dog, and God. So my faith at this point is unshakable, right? And after returning to church and listening to scriptures, and I became a note taker, a thorough note taker in church. And pastor and I, at that time, Reverend Basser, he became a second dad to me. And there were many times I would call him if I couldn't get anyone else, and if I couldn't quite get the answer, I was seeking myself. He always led me to passages in scripture, always, right? So I spent time studying those he led me to, and those like I would read like the passages around it, just so I can get a better understanding of what it really meant, what that verse really meant, or verses really meant. And through my life, especially through that dark chapter, God was there, and God allowed me to defy the odds. It's not because Chris is great; it's because God is happy, and He showed up. He showed up in each night, even now.
Love that. Love that, though. Love that. You good?
I'm trying to be, man. Y'all hear me? It was like a 1-2. You know what I'm saying? 1-2
Hey, let's go, man.
Hey, we in it. Hey, this is what we do, baby. But you're doing good, though.
It's all good.
Doing good.
We keep it real. We keep it real on the den, man, because what you experience,
I feel it.
What you experience with this crash, you're taking it upon yourself to share your testimony with the world, and so we're gonna make sure we get it out there right. You know what I mean? So we're talking about this crash and how God's played a role in your recovery and helping you with your mental. But my question is, what point during your recovery did you feel like, hey, because you led with, you was already working on a book, right? So not necessarily this book,
yes,
but then this crash helped you change direction. Well, guided you to change direction. But at what point did you realize the tragedy had a greater purpose than just what you experienced?
Well, I have a really close friend, Janae Neller. She's a fashion influencer. I'm so proud of her. High Low Lux is her, yeah, vlog, I believe. Yeah. So either way, I shared my dream of writing a book with her, and she said, "Okay, you got to write this book." And I was like, "Okay." So she told me to find a publisher. So I found this guy, and on Facebook because a friend of mine he had written a book, and I was like, "I want to do that." So he led me to this guy, and my friend, one of my best friends, did all that she could to help me begin the process of writing the book. So I showed when I began working with him, I showed him my short stories, and he was like, "Yeah, man, these are good. These are good. Do you have any social media?" And I began to talk about the crash on my social media. So I was like, "Sure." And I gave him my handles, or whatever. I guess he was scrolling and came across the crash, and we talked about drunk drive or whatever. So he was like, one day when we were meeting, he said, "Hey, what's this about an accident?" And I explained accident versus crash. He was like, "Okay, good, but wait, you were in a crash?" And I explained, about we know I was being killed by a drunk driver. Now as I began talking, I became emotional. Yeah. So he said, "That's your first book." I said, "No, it's not." And he was like,
Mm,
"No." He was like, "That's your first book, right? That's your first book right there. I need you to write about that." I said, "Well, I'm not. I'm not doing that. I don't want people to know that. There are some things I don't want people to know, so I'm not writing that book." I was like, "This, you can either take these short stories, or I can just find someone else." He was like, "No, listen, we are interested in it, but we got to get the crash." I was like, "Okay, well, listen, Chris being Chris, I'm very mine, blame my mother and my father." So I said, "Okay, listen, I'll give you a part one and a part two. Part one, we'll make that about the crash, write a few pages or whatever. Part two will be the short stories." So he agreed to it. This publisher eventually took my money and ran. So I went to Janae and I was like, "Hey, listen, I told you this wasn't supposed to be. I told you this wasn't supposed to happen." She was like, "No, we just have to find a different publisher." Like, "What's wrong with you?" Like, we don't give up that easy. What do you mean? So after her talking to me, I finally agreed to do it because I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like it. I was like, "Man, this dude is making me talk about someone that's way too personal for me to share with the world," and then he runs off. So after
Yeah.
I agreed to it, so I found the other publisher. I found the Manuscripts LLC on Instagram, and I gave them part one and part two, right, of my book, and they scanned it and they were like, "Hey, these are both good, but these do not make sense together. We're only interested in the crash." It was like, "Yeah, we can come back and do these short stories, but right now we want the crash." And I began sharing my testimony at church. So I saw the impact of it. And I began volunteering with Matt, I believe. And so I saw the impact of it on people, right? And I was like, "Wow, God." So a few meetings later, because of course I refused. This is not my first book. My first book was my short story. This is my baby. I've been working on it for years. So after a few meetings, I agreed, and man, they began to peel back a layer. I peel back layers. I tell people that writing a book, was the greatest therapy of my life. I thought I was
mm,
healed. Writing a book
mm.
proved that I was not.
Wow.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. You okay? Well, look, before we go too deep into that, let's talk a little bit about the physical aspects. And we talked about it just a little bit, but I really want our viewers and listeners to understand that when certain things happen in life, you have to do things differently, right? So you lightly mentioned physical therapy and going through the healing stages. However, at that age of 23, I mean, you had to relearn basic skills again, right? From sitting, standing, walking,
Mhm.
and all of that.
Yeah.
So when you felt completely disconnected from the man you once were, like, how did you find that determination to rebuild from scratch? The reason why I'm asking that is because we have viewers that are a part of community veterans, right? Individuals that have different
Right.
disabilities and they struggle at times, no matter, right? Some of the disabilities are
Yes.
visible and invisible, but maybe this answer can kind of help them on out as far as finding that determination to rebuild into the new them. So how would you say you found that fierce determination inside? I mean, I know you talked about your your faith and the family, you know, and it's just I know the pain, right? That you mentioned earlier, like you're always in pain, but what is it, what is it? What can you tell a person?
Yes. Well, thank you. I'm in pain right now. People ask me how long was your healing journey. I'm like, wait, I'm still on it. Like it's not ended, you know. So after suffering a traumatic brain injury, for me, diffuse axonal traumatic brain injury, I'm always in pain. My body is always hurting. So I've been through several rounds of therapy. I've had ERIs, EMGs, EEGs. I've had it all. I've had years of it. Well, I went through years of it before I decided, okay, I just have to accept Chris. Okay. So with that, I was fiercely determined to become Chris again. I heard stories about this guy who was always joyful and who was always lit and who was turned. I heard about how funny he was. I heard about how he always had some sarcastic and some jokes to share. And I wanted to be him again. So despite what they told me about all my limitations they tried to place on me in my life, told me I couldn't go back to work, I couldn't go back to school, I couldn't drive a car, I was going to find Chris again. I knew that if I trusted God, I was taught that as a child to always have faith and all the things. And up until that point, my faith had worked for me. And people, there was a group on Facebook with my sister, one of the loves of my life. My sister formed, along with some friends from out here. It was called Prayer Warriors for Chris. So that night, they told my mom I would be dead by the end of the night. She said, "No, he's not. God didn't say that to me." So my mother said she instantly started praying. And with that, she said this calm like kind of spread over her body, and she began encouraging people and strengthening people and holding them up as her baby was back in a coma, right? Kind of from hour to hour, then from day to day. So with that, I had seen God working and seen God move, and I was fiercely determined to become Chris again. So I was determined. I knew that if I trusted God strong enough or long enough, something would work out.
Right.
So I tell people all the time, people will tell me how strong I am and all these things. It's not me, it's God. I owe it all to Christ, because without him, I'm nothing. And in my darkest hours, when I really wanted to kill myself, God said, "Not so." And here I am, talking to you, amazing man.
No doubt.
Love
So
it.
keeping on that same path, like, so how is sharing your testimony up to this point? Have you noticed how you've been able to impact others?
Man, yes, like God is so amazing. In that he led me to the nonprofit Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and I began speaking at victim impact panels. Is where now I don't allow people to call me a victim. I'm a survivor, right? But MAD embraces the term victim for people who have been affected by drunk driving crashes. So with that, I began speaking at victim impact panels, and they were quarterly, I believe, at a point when I was doing it. And I saw like the way my story affected people. It was just me telling it, right? And of course, I become emotional because I share my testimony, and I saw the effect. I'm like, wow, this is a big deal, right? So I'm not. I think I lost the question, but
No, you didn't. It's
seeing the impact. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. How did you know? You got examples of how you impacted somebody. You talked about the drunk mothers against drunk and whatnot.
Seeing the impact. Yeah, seeing the impact on people, especially in church. See how people were it could shut the church down. People began running and screaming out, and be overcome with emotion. And then even at the victim impact panels, like the offenders would come to me afterwards and tell me, "I'm so sorry that we had something." And then, like with the interest of the publishing company, they really affirmed for me that this was something special. Yeah. So it's my job to share it. It's not always tough. It's not always easy. There are some days in which I don't want to talk about it, honestly. But it's my duty. Because many people that suffer the kind of brain injury I suffered, they die or they spend their lives in a vegetative state. God has restored me. So I don't take it for granted.
Oh, love that. Definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that's tuning in and you're watching right now, please look into the comments right now. I got a link for his book out. Okay. So make sure you go and check it on out and support it, right? It's the Drunk Deliverance. Please make sure y'all go and support that and support this vision and those wise words. Speaking of that, what would you as you going and you communicating with individuals, talking to them about all types of things that not only that you've been through, but encouraging, all right, encouraging people. So if you had an opportunity, right, to communicate with a younger version of you, okay, let's say a younger version of you back in, let's say 22. Yeah. Better yet, I'm asking everybody, all right, Herm, you too. Let's say a younger version of you prior to the military, though. All right, probably prior to the military, right? But specifically for you, Chris, what message would you tell yourself if you had 2 minutes just to go back and talk to a version of you the year before everything happened?
Wow. Yeah. Simply put, keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah. That
Keep
encompasses
going.
so much, no matter what, keep going. If you're still alive, you still have breath in your lungs, keep going.
I could dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that. Big Herm, what would you tell yourself? What would you tell little Herm?
First of all, I was never little, but for me, when I look back at my younger self, I would tell them, man, you don't have nothing to prove. You know what I mean? You ain't got to prove nobody how tough you are, how anything you are. You know what I mean? People question you or they want to try you. You don't have to meet them at their level to try to show them that, you know what I'm saying, who you are. Just be you. Just be comfortable being you. You know what I mean? So that's what about you? What would you tell your younger self?
Oh boy, you know
Yeah,
what?
I'm
I think,
interested.
yeah, man. Shoot. I think I would tell, no, I know. I would tell my younger self, you got this, you know? So it's kind of like everything that you both said. But I believe when you have so many things going on around you and it's so easy to categorize yourself or you wanting to fit into certain things, and then you start comparing yourself to individuals like, man, this person got it, but I ain't got it. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to speed up. Maybe. So what I would tell myself seriously is, hey, let's chill out. You go get it. You're gonna get that, you know. Hey, what's going on, Frat? So yeah, I think that is so important, right? To really take a step back and realize that our life isn't over, but there's still a version of us that is there, that's still hungry, right? Still got that vigor and everything. And so sometimes if we're not careful, for example, Chris, like you said earlier, you may wanted to be the old Chris because of what you've heard and everything, right? It just seemed like everybody else wanted that old Chris. You didn't even know that Chris anymore. Look, pick up what I'm putting down. You didn't know that Chris anymore.
Right.
You get what I mean? So in this reinvention part of your life, you have an opportunity, just like we all do, of taking the good with the bad, right? But using all of that to build a better foundation. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think that's something real that we all can do?
Definitely. And we can do it each day. It doesn't take some big moment or some big event. It's a decision in your mind. Because even to this point, I don't always get it right. I try my best to quickly correct it. Like a few things. I don't allow myself to go to bed angry at friends. I'm going to call you, no matter how tough it is. Now I may be a little pissed. Sorry, I may be a little upset. but I'm not gonna just let it linger. If I feel like I was wrong, if I feel like you wronged me, it's not on me to fix that. But yes, it happened again. Yeah.
No, you good, brother.
No, you good. You're good.
But
I'm sorry. You know what? I'll just share this. That's an effect of the traumatic brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
I get lost in
it's
my
all good.
thoughts, and it happens. You
Well,
know,
why
especially when I'm
you
feeling
there?
emotional, like I am now. Thanks to you guys in question.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, can you repeat it again, Seth?
No, but let's transition real
Yeah,
quick.
we go transition. We got it.
Real quick. Because staying into that, right? I want to get into the forgiveness aspect. What you was able to learn about forgiveness and how important that is, if it's important to you, and were you able to forgive the person that hit you, that crashed into you and changed your life?
Yes. I shared earlier that I started speaking with my pastor, Stephen R. Vassar, often, like, especially as I battled suicide, those ideations that I just could not get away from. They just, for me, the answer for a moment was always just end it all. Wake up hurting, okay, I can just end this, okay. You wake up, okay, you feeling kind of down, we'll just end it, like God didn't mean for me to live this way. And with that, my pastor, who became like a figure, he became a dominant figure in my life. He kept preaching about forgiveness, and when he and I would talk, he kept telling me the importance of forgiveness and led me to passages in the Bible that talked about forgiveness. And I didn't know how I could do it. Like, this guy changed everything about me, and couldn't say I'm sorry for it at first. He wouldn't even apologize without much people pushing him into it. And who wants that? Who wants that apology? So I kept praying. I accepted at some point that I wouldn't be free until I could forgive him. Because anytime you mention his name, I would get angry. Sometimes I would get emotional. I would cry about it, especially if you say like his full name to me. I know it. And yeah, and whenever he was brought into the pit, brought up around me, it instantly changed my mood. So he had control of me. At the moment, I realized I was allowing this man to control me. And that's all it takes for me, because you can't, no one, and there's no person, no thing that can control me. Right? So with that, I just kept praying to God. I just kept praying, God, please help me forgive him. Please help me forgive him. Please help me forgive him. And one day, it just didn't hurt anymore. The mention of his name, me hearing the name didn't affect me the way it used to. I was like, look at this, man. I felt free finally. And when his girlfriend, whose car he was driving, when she apologized to me, a weight was lifted. A weight was lifted from me.
That's dope. That reminds me of the movie The Forge. It really does. Yeah. Well, go ahead, Herm. You got another one though, brother. Go ahead.
Hey, so somebody picks up your book, The Drunk Deliverance, and they read it. What is the most important thing you want that person to understand after reading the pages that you wrote? What do you want them to walk away with?
That was going to be one of mine. Yep.
You gotta be fast on the draw, man.
I'll see that.
No matter what happens to you in life, no matter what happens to you in your life, you have breath in your lungs, there's purpose for your life. No matter how dark it is, no matter how dark the storm is, no matter how bad how much you are changed or injured or different, you still have breath in your body, there's purpose for your life. And eventually, if you trust God, if you keep doing the work, it all comes together, right? Yeah. And it's a better picture than you can ever paint yourself, because it's God's picture.
Yeah. Love that.
So just keep going.
Love that.
Oh man. Y'all guys got me hot over here.
No, it's good. It's good. Hey, Herm got the final word for today, man. But before he get it in, man, yo, just I appreciate everything that you do and the person that you are and the Chris that you are today. All right, go ahead, Herm.
Yeah. Hey, for the people that are watching,
Bless you.
well, first and foremost, Chris, I want to thank you for coming on. It takes a lot to be able to relive that night, the worst night of your life, uh, with us. You know what I mean? I know it takes a lot to do that. You know what I mean? And it's okay to get emotional when you're talking about something like this, man. That's a real human. That's a real human feeling. You know what I mean? And people need to see what real humans do when they are going through something. That's first and foremost. Thank you for the people that's out there, man. When you're out and about in your communities, this is a prime example of you never know what people are going through, how people are hurting. You know what I'm saying? When you approach them. I would have walked past Chris. I would have never have known that, he'd been through something like that. I would just think, man, he walked a little funny. You know what I mean? Never knowing that his life almost ended over somebody's foolish decision to get behind the wheel and drive intoxicated. What you do can impact somebody for the rest of their life and impact you for the rest of your life. 2 lives were changed that night. You know what I'm saying? Well, more than that, because families involved too. Right. So just think about that as you're moving about your day. Treat people with kindness because you never know what they had to go through to get there.
Real talk. Real talk. Absolutely. Appreciate that, Big Herm. Hey, so Chris, man, again, man, I want to thank you, man, for being in the den, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for this.
Oh, no, man, no problem. No problem. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we do. Make sure you tune in again next week. All things looking good. We got a good show coming on up. Hey, Herm, quick brief. What we going to be on next week?
Hey, so next week I got a man, a mentor, a friend, a brother of mine. He's going to come on. He was instrumental in helping me in my career get ready for the next steps. So what this show is going to be about is how to help people, you know what I'm saying, get to the next step. You know what I mean? There's no need for gatekeepers. You know what I mean? There's no need for people to withhold information because there's room for everybody. You know what I mean? The more room you create for people, there's going to be more room for you. You know what I mean? So that's what the next show is going to be, is how to understand when to accept a hand and when to give a hand.
That's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, if you're interested, and I hope you are, make sure you tune in so we can get it in again. Yo, take care of yourself and each other. Right on. Later.